Hey everybody, welcome in. I know we're right at 11:30 Eastern time. We're going to give everybody just a minute here, so we will get started in actually now probably about 45 seconds. So hang tight here with us. We'll get started shortly. Hey everyone, I know we got a lot of folks joining, so if you just joined us, just a heads up, we got about 30 seconds and then we'll get started. So hang tight and then we'll get started here shortly. All right, we have quite a few folks on the line. So welcome everyone. Welcome to the Resource Management Institute's Q4 Power Up. Today we're going to be talking about AI and resource management. My name is Nick Cochran. I'm with the RMI and looking forward to being your host today. So I've got just a little bit of logistics and some items to get through before we get started, and then I'll get you over to the main event. And so I know today we've got record numbers, and so an interesting, exciting, important topic. I'm sure all of you in your organizations have at least been talking about, maybe exploring AI in resource management, and so we're going to talk about that today. So Ryan, I'll introduce Ryan here in just a minute, but Ryan's going to spend some time talking about AI. What are some of the use cases and how we can look at AI and resource management? And then, we've tracked this and we have some data and we'll show you that. But then it's just, what do we do now? Like, where do we go from here? What does this look like? And so hopefully we'll give you a few just kind of practical takeaways as we go away from the session today. We do want to hear from you. And so I know in these power up sessions, they're 30 minutes, they're pretty quick. I don't know that we'll have a ton of time at the end, but if we do, we'll certainly try to address any questions that are out there. But in the meantime, use the Q&A panel, send the questions out there. If there's anything that we need to take offline, our team will make sure to note that, and we can follow up offline if we need to do that. But definitely use that Q&A panel. We'll do our best to address any questions at the end of today's session. Before we get in, do want to just give a big thank you to our sponsors. So at the RMI, we can't put on these events without the help of our sponsors. So we do want to give a big shout out, a big thanks to them. So today's sponsors are BI, Dayshape, and Cantata. So again, big thank you to those sponsors for helping support us in this event specifically, but in anything that we do and trying to help you all in the resource management community. If you're not familiar with the Resource Management Institute, just give you a quick intro to who we are. We are an institute that's dedicated to the advancement of resource and workforce management through thought leadership, best practices, standards. Our mission's pretty simple, but we think powerful. It's to elevate how the world plans and manages its people. And we do that. We've got four key pillars here, so I'll hit those quickly. We've got different methods. So we've developed RM best practices and standards, including our just-in-time resourcing framework that helps organizations implement scalable, effective resource management. We have insights, so we provide market research and benchmarking data so organizations can assess performance, identify trends, continue to drive improvement in their organizations. Collaboration. So this is one of those events, but we do host industry events. We've got a couple more that are actually at least one more that Ryan will talk to you about at the end of today's session. But we have those events to bring our community together so we can share knowledge, inspire each other as we continue to grow in the resource management discipline. And then finally, education. So we offer training and certification programs to help equip individuals and teams with the skills and confidence to lead resource management at the highest level. And since our founding in 2016, the RMI has become kind of the go-to place for resource management excellence. So whether you're looking for proven methods, insights that can help you take action in your organization, or opportunities just to connect and learn from others, that's what we're here to do. And so let's get to the main event here. So I want to introduce Ryan Childers. Ryan is our managing director of the Resource Management Institute. And so looking forward to hearing what Ryan has to say. Ryan, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our Q4 Power Up. Gosh, it's hard to believe it's December already. We're in Q4. 2025 seems like it has absolutely flown by, but here we are. And we've got a big topic on our plate for today. And it's a topic that I know is on the minds of most of us in resource management. It's what the heck's going on with AI and how's that going to impact us? What are we doing today? What do we need to get prepared for? And so we're going to talk about those things. And so to get us started, and this was helpful for me as I was thinking about preparing for today's session, it was helpful for me to take a look back at where we've been as an institute, where we've been as a profession in resource management with AI. And so what I found is, you know what, we've been talking about as an institute, we've been talking about AI and its evolution and the impact it's likely to have on resource management for a long time, and trying to translate that into, okay, what is it we need to do to get prepared for it? What is it we need to do in order to best take advantage of it? And so, where most of our messaging has been, and it'll continue to be this way, but we're going to append a bunch of things to it. We've continued to emphasize that AI is the classic case of garbage in, garbage out. And so we've been pressing on pretty hard, pressing on the need to get our processes and data right in order to give AI a fighting chance to work for us. And so we'll continue to talk about the need to mature our processes and again, get our data correct so that we can take advantage of it. We know PSA, PPM, and RPM vendors that we're all utilizing, they are working like crazy to embed AI functionality into their products. You can, and the reason we know that, you can't go to a trade show, you can't go to a conference without seeing AI splashed all over everyone's booth. You know, you see it in their webinars, you see it in their marketing, their website, and all of that stuff. They are going to work for us in order to get that functionality in their products. We also know there are new players starting to emerge with AI natively built into their new product. We know that because we're talking with them. They're reaching out to us. We're having great conversations with them. That is a really, really exciting time for all of us as well. The other drum that we've really been beating on is starting to envision as resource management professionals in a future with AI. If we can envision AI taking on more of the transactional tasks that I would say we don't enjoy doing in the first place, if we can envision that future, one of the things we're going to need to do is adapt. And where we look to adapt our skills fits the narrative that I think we would all sign up for, which is becoming more and more strategic. We're going to have to elevate our interpersonal soft skills and really take on the role of becoming more and more consultative and thinking in terms of becoming more of a trusted advisor to our organizations as well. And so that's what we've been out there talking about, you know, where we are today. And the way I would frame this up is our journey in resource management with AI. It's like a multi-chapter story or a multi-chapter book. And where we are today is we're a long ways away from still being at the beginning of that book. So we've advanced quite a bit. We're a long ways away from the end of that book, from the exciting conclusion. We're somewhere in the middle. And a lot of things are going to happen, you know, as we turn the chapters. And so I thought it would be interesting to do a point in time look at what we learned at one of our recent events. And so RMI Connect, I'm going to take you back to September the 23rd and 25th. And at RMI Connect, we talked a lot about AI and the evolution of AI. And one of the things that we shared is the AI adoption curve that you see here on the screen. And this is a curve, we introduced it. It's similar to a lot of adoption models that are out on the market. You know, you can Google them and find them. They all say relatively the same thing, that we all go through this set of stages in terms of our ability to, you know, gain awareness of what AI is all about, think and learn about the capabilities it possesses, and then we start to get our hands dirty, right? We start to experiment a little bit about what AI can do for us, and we start to see a little bit of benefit there, but we really don't do anything other than some ad hoc exploration and those kinds of things. That ultimately moves us towards the right, where, you know, eventually we'll get into more systematic use, and hopefully, you know, at some point we'll become AI native. So again, this is what most organizations go through or will go through when it comes to AI adoption. And so at RMI Connect, we asked a couple of questions, and I thought we would take another look at the data that was revealed here. And so, you know, just kind of framing it up here a little bit in terms of who our audience was. So we had, you know, looking back at the data, we had about 180 resource management professionals at RMI Connect who responded to the question you see here on the screen. We just simply asked, take that AI adoption curve into account. Where's your organization as a whole along that AI adoption curve? And so what we found is nearly half of organizations are experimenting with AI, but only 14% are using it beyond the experimentation stage. So kind of interesting, probably not too surprising there. What was really revealing for us is actually the second question we asked. So we said, okay, now step back and think specifically about your resource management function. Where does it sit on that same AI adoption curve relative to the rest of your organization? Is your RM function or your RMO, are you further ahead? Are you lagging behind? Or are you about the same place as the rest of your organization? And unfortunately, what we found was we're not keeping pace with the rest of our organizations. And so, kind of interesting to think about that. I'm always interested in the question behind the question. So, if we are not keeping pace, if we're lagging behind, what's going on? Why are our RM functions lagging behind the rest of the organization? And so we asked and talked to a lot of members of the resource management community. We talked with the RMI advisory board and just gained some insight into what's going on when it comes to AI adoption. And here's what we found. A lot of organizations or a lot of RM functions are still waiting for their organization to cast an AI strategy. Some are still waiting for funding for AI tools that they can take advantage of. We have others that are simply in a holding pattern and they're waiting for their PSA or their PPM or RPM provider to infuse AI functionality into their tool. And then we've got to go through implementation, adoption, and all of those kinds of things. But we're in this holding pattern. Others are still dealing with process and data quality issues, which fits what we've been prescribing. Take care of that stuff. Get ready for AI, fix your processes, get your data right. Some aren't quite sure where to start, right? Not clear use cases. We're waiting on some guidelines, governance. There's still some fear and some apprehension. If we get into AI, we're going to screw something up, right? We also have this reality that in resource management, we have data that comes from a whole bunch of different systems that we have to bring together in order to make our resource management decisions and put that data to work for us. And so a lot of systems are still fragmented, and that fragmentation makes it a little challenging to introduce tools like AI as opposed to other more siloed functions, a little easier for them. And then the other reality we have to face is we know what the plate looks like for us in resource management. We are busy, busy people. And so we run into bandwidth issues, and it's hard to find time to experiment with new tools and especially with AI when we don't have, the ability to dedicate some bandwidth in order to do that. So kind of interesting to look at, why some of the reasons why we're lagging. And so I thought it would be really interesting to ask this group. We know we have a big audience on today's session. Just simply ask you a poll question. When you take that list I just shared, what's your biggest barrier to AI adoption in your resource management function? So Nick, do you want to pop the poll up there, please? And let's all take a minute and take your best shot at what's holding you back here. What I think is going to be interesting, again, this is point in time data, just to infuse this into our story. On December the 10th, this is where we were, and this is what we're reporting we're struggling with. All right, we see several are coming in. I promise we don't tie names to answers, so all of this is completely anonymous. So feel free to participate freely here. All right, we have just about matched the same number of responses we had at RMI Connect. That's really cool. We've got about a 70, almost 80% participation rate. All right, perfect. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, we crossed over 80. Great. 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm going to end the poll. Let's look at our results here. So it looks like we've got about a fourth of folks are still in that holding pattern I mentioned. Okay, so that's interesting. Another fourth dealing with process and data quality issues first. That makes sense. We've got RM workflows across systems, and some not sure where to start. Okay, so great. We're going to talk about all of these things. I'll say as in some level of detail as part of today's session. We're going to keep talking about this stuff. This is something we're going to continue to talk about as we get into 2026. So let me make this go away. That's perfect. Thank you all for participating in that. I think that'll be interesting data that will help as we get into more research and more sessions just like this one. So I appreciate all of that. So, taking a look at just simply our point of view, on AI and the impact it's going to have on resource management. We've shared this before, but I think a really powerful word that pops out in here is what you see underlined on the screen. In our opinion, our point of view is AI has the ability to enhance the efficiency and the effectiveness of what it is we do in resource management day in and day out. It is going to complement what we do. It will be a big enhancement. And where my mind goes is just taking a look at the use cases in general around AI. And it's clearly focused on improving productivity. So doing things like automating routine and repetitive tasks, increasing efficiency, productivity, and giving us cost savings. And if we focus on what AI, again, has the capability to do, it has the ability to make our teams more effective. It can organize information in a fast and precise manner. It's really powerful in that capacity. It can, and I think we'd all sign up for this, it can reduce or eliminate repetitive, manual, and simple requests. And I know this to be true because I've seen it in my peers, I've seen it in my colleagues, I've seen it in my friends, I've seen it in my family. AI has the ability to be integrated into our daily lives and enable us to work smarter and unlock the ability to become more strategic. How long have we been talking about wanting to increase the strategic focus and the strategic nature of resource management and our RMOs? And this is going to be a tool that can help us do that. And so, I thought it was interesting just thinking back and really looking at, okay, if we could channel our inner Harry Potter, so we're all going to be wizards here for just a second, channel our inner Harry Potter, wave our magic wand, and cast the resource management spell, and it's Alinus Peopulus Forecastus Flawless Chaos Eliminatus. And if you don't think AI helped me write that, you are kidding yourself. It absolutely did. If we could wave that magic wand, cast that spell, what is it we would wish for? What is it we would wish for in resource management? Well, we've been asking for this stuff for a long time, right? Better forecast accuracy, better data quality, increased skills visibility, optimized allocation decisions, better reporting and insights. Oh my gosh, how long have we been wanting better data, better reporting, better insights, increased resource management productivity? If we could get those things, that is a really, really good thing. So ask the question, so what? What are the implications if that spell granted us all of these things? What's in it for us? Well, we'd obviously get more predictable delivery. We'd get more trustworthy decisions through better data quality. We'd be more confident in our resource deployment through better skills visibility, more effective utilization, faster and better informed decision cycles. And again, there it is again, more time for strategic work. And so again, this is what AI is capable of doing to, powerful word again, enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of what it is we do in resource management. So with that, what's happening today? Where are we today on December the 10th? Well, we had to do a little bit of investigation here. And so we talked with the RMI advisory board, again, talked with a whole bunch of RMI community members. And what they shared in terms of what's happening with AI and resource management today is kind of interesting. And I take these things and I categorize them into really seeing things happening at three different levels. And I would guess if we were in a room together, I would see a lot of heads nodding as we go through these. And it's interesting at the overall company level, I think we're all starting to feel more pressure and more promotion around AI and especially AI usage. And so we know it's becoming more of a strategic priority in our organizations. Leadership, asking teams to start showing and start talking about what is it you're doing with AI? How are you taking advantage of AI? What's your plan for AI? And so we're starting to feel a little bit of pressure here. AI adoption is becoming more expected, it's becoming more visible, and it's being tied to operational improvement and overall business competitiveness. As that cascades down to the team level or the RMO level, we know about, and the data told us this, right? About half of the teams are experimenting with AI today. What's interesting is a lot of those are not experimenting directly in their PSA, PPM, or RPM tool with the features that are in there today. The experimentation seems to be happening outside of those systems. And so what's happening is we're exporting data, dropping it in a spreadsheet, feeding it into our Gen AI tool of choice or whatever your organization supports, whether it's Chat, GPT, Gemini, Copilot, whatever it is, and then asking those tools to do something with it. Could be analyzing it, could be producing summaries, could be trending it, could be looking for risks. And so what that equates to is we're starting to explore AI in really, really practical ways, but there are also ways that are pretty low barrier and creating some value for us. And so I love this idea of we're seeing some practical experimentation. I think that's a great, great thing for all of us. Now, take that down another level, down to the individual level. And this is true likely of all of us. We're starting to see more resource managers use AI to boost their personal productivity. So again, tapping into those readily available Gen AI tools, the Chat GPTs, the Geminis, the Copilots, to help us do simple things, draft emails, give me a catchy response to this. Here's what was sent to me. How do I respond to it? Building presentations, summarizing meetings, synthesizing data, speeding up our research, all of those things. What this is doing is this takes some of that administrative burden that comes with and has come with the RM role for a long, long time, and it shifts it, right? It makes that stuff a lot easier and allows us to shift into more higher value advisory type decisions, which brings us back to the need to elevate our interpersonal soft skills. And so, even light AI usage is meaningful, right? Those are the things that we can do. And so where to start? I know some of us are struggling with where to start. Again, I'll bang on this drum again. Start with your personal productivity. Look for ways in which, and I think another powerful word here, ways in which you can leverage AI. Use it to simplify things, use it to give you a boost down the hill on some of the busy work so that you can then have greater insight and become a little bit more strategic. Now, one of the things I need to do here, and I feel really compelled to do this, we have some members of our RMI advisory board that would say, hey, we've been waiting for you to say this out loud. If you're going to experiment with AI, you've got to stay in bounds, right? Stay in bounds with your organization's approved AI usage policies and guidelines. And while we're encouraging AI experimentation, you got to use sanction tools. If your organization says, hey, ChatGPT is out of bounds, you can't go there, right? Whatever they're providing, whatever they're saying is safe, you got to use that. A lot of risk you see the news articles and all those things around the risk of data getting out, what's happening when you get something out on the web, out in these tools, who's doing what with it. And so, you got to stay within defined parameters, because if you don't, that can create some real risk to your organization, to your team, and to your customers as well. So you got to be really, really careful here. But wait, we know, and we saw this in our poll, we know we have members of the RMI community that are just getting started in resource management. We also know we still have data and process issues to address. And so if that's you, if that's your organization, how do we start to infuse AI? So, again, we've been banging on the drum of get your processes and data right first. Get down the RMI maturity curve in resource management. I'll tell you the new play, and you're going to hear a lot more from us in this direction. The new play, and I'll make it super simple, we're going to have to adjust and learn how to chew bubble gum while we walk. So we've got to walk and chew gum at the same time. We've got to continue to strengthen the discipline while we begin exploring the intelligence and the possibilities with AI. So all those things you see on the left side of the screen, all those things we're doing to get our processes and our data right, keep doing that. At the same time, and again, I think another powerful phrase for us to all wrap our minds around, in parallel, not after, but in parallel, while we're continuing to mature our processes and getting our data right, in parallel, we've got to see what AI can do with us or do for us. So start experimenting with personal productivity, right? Run those experiments, run small team pilots, some ideas that we're throwing out there on the right side of the screen, start celebrating victories. If someone does something cool with AI, let's celebrate it. And then let's look to downstream start to institutionalize it as well. So a lot of cool stuff we can do there. So, I want to simplify this and just give you a set of 3 items that we can do today. And I'm going to put these in a couple of different categories. If you're one of those organizations that still has some data and process issues, you got to keep going, as I mentioned earlier. Keep going. But I want you to remember, and we talked about this a lot at RMI Connect back in September, resource management excellence, or the journey to resource management excellence. It is a journey. It's not a destination. Put RMI tools, our tool set to use for you. The RMI maturity model, the RMI playbook. Use those tools. The RMCP curriculum. Many of you are RMCP certified. Use what you learned in class to help you with that. If you need greater touch and you need some bandwidth, some deeper expertise, tap into the RMI advisory services. Those are things that can help you as well. If you're not yet experimenting with AI, now's the time to start. And anytime I say and offer advice around starting something, I try to keep it as simple as possible. Just make it a priority. Do one thing before the end of the year. I know we've got holidays coming up, only a couple of working weeks before we get into those. But take these next couple of weeks and make it really, really simple. Do something with AI. Again, heed the warning I issued earlier, but do something with AI before the end of the year. Start to build some momentum and confidence. If you are part of that group that is actively experimenting with AI, good for you and keep going. Keep going, start sharing your learnings, start to move down the path of increasing and expanding use cases and starting to institutionalize what it is you're doing with AI. Spread the wealth to other parts of the organization. So I'll take you back to this multi-chapter story that we're all a part of right now. I'll tell you, this is exciting. This is exciting for all of us in resource management. It's exciting for the discipline. It's exciting for the profession. It's exciting for us as an institute. We're in the middle of what's really about to become a transformational story. And I can tell you everything is there that's telling us the pace is only accelerating. And so, for us, we're chomping at the bit saying, come on, bring on the next chapter. Let's get going on this. And I hope you can sense that excitement. I hope you share that as well. All right. With that, I want to share a couple of exciting updates with you. The first is something that's new. So we recently soft launched on the website our new AI Insights Hub. What you see on the screen is a view into our website. It's literally on the homepage, right in the center of the page. That's where you can go to access the new Insights Hub. There you'll find we've seeded it with a couple of articles specifically on AI. We will start to add white papers, benchmark data, and webinars. We did advertise this Power Up out there as well. We'll put the recording out there in the hub and future webinars that have an AI slant to them or have AI content. We'll put those out there as well. So I want you to be aware of the fact that it's out there and it's only going to grow. We'll share more on this in our Q4 e-blast that we'll release next week. So something you can look out for there. A couple of big events coming up as well. It's hard to believe our 12th annual State of Resource Management address is coming up on February the 4th. Registration is open on the website today. If you follow the QR code there on the right side of the screen, you can sign up for it. It's a free event. February 4th, 11 o'clock. It takes me back 12 years ago, sitting in the lobby, literally sitting in the lobby of a hotel, writing the content for the very first State of Resource Management address. What you can expect to hear from us here is we're going to take a look back at the things that happened in 2025, look at the impact that that's had on resource management as both a discipline and profession. And then as that rolls into 2026, what are the trends we need to be prepared for? What are the things we need to look out for and get ready to deal with? And so definitely take advantage of this opportunity. Likewise, another big event for us is the Resource Management Global Symposium 2026. Big theme for us is Ignite. This is about igniting the new age of resource management. So you can expect heavy AI theme as part of this event. April the 20th through 22nd, we are returning to Indianapolis. If you want to check out more information on this particular event, follow that QR code there on the right side of the screen. The important things to keep in mind here, when it comes to the event, we have a big deadline that's coming up next Friday. If you're planning to attend, our early bird registration discount window, our first early bird window, expires on Friday, next Friday. So we know everyone's in a different place budget-wise, but if you do have the ability to register, if you're planning to attend, I would encourage you to take advantage of it before it expires. Teams, we have a lot of organizations that bring their teams to the event. If you're going to bring 5 or more, reach out to us and we'll share more information with you about our team discount program. So we're happy to help you there. And then we are looking for a few more speakers at the event. If you follow that QR code, you'll find our page where we have the speaker application process. So if you'd like to speak and be part of the event, definitely check that out as well. And then our RMCP certification program. Definitely, if in your learning and development plan, you're wanting to get certified in resource management, you can take a look at the program. We have a couple of classes coming up in the first quarter, and then backed by popular demand, we are attaching an RMCP class in person to RMGS. So you show up a little bit early, You get in the program, you then hit pause, go through RMGS, and then stick around a little bit longer. You leave with your certification program. So you kind of kill two birds with one stone in terms of being away and traveling and all those kinds of things. And then, of course, we have our on-demand program that's available 24 by 7 as well. All right, last things I'm going to do here. Again, just reiterating what Nick shared at the beginning. Really want to give a big shout out to BI, Dayshape, and Cantata for sponsoring today's Power Up session. Really appreciate their help and support. If you're in the market for a new PSA, PPM, RPM tool, definitely encourage you to check these three out. They are at the forefront of the pack when it comes to tools and capabilities and those kinds of things. So really appreciate their support with the event. And with that, I will end with a big thank you. Happy holidays as we head into the holiday season here. It's been a great year in resource management. It's been a great year for the RMI, and we are super, super excited about what's in store for 2026. So we look forward to seeing you at the State of Resource Management address in February. Thanks, everyone.